Good morning, everybody. We are back. It's right side of campus. It's 10 a.m. That means one thing. We're back with you live here on a Friday, a football Friday, one of our last football Fridays of the season. A couple days before Christmas, getting you ready for the big holiday. I welcome in my co-host, Donnie Right Side. Donnie, get your coffee, get your OJ, get whatever breakfast food you're having. It's right side of campus. How you doing today?
Holiday, it would be so nice. There you go, a little Christmas carol right there to get the day started off. It is a football Friday. We're all excited out here. You got day football today, Jeff. What a better way to get into the weekend action than to have two bowl games and not even start tonight, right? Starting at about noontime Eastern time and then flowing right behind that around 4:30 takes you right into college basketball, takes you right into NBA action. It's going to be a good weekend. You got NFL action on Saturday and Sunday and also on Monday. So, Jeff, a lot to look forward to and be thankful for at this time of the year.
I got to tell you, Donnie, right side. I mean, look, first of all, your singing is pretty bad, but second of all, your take
Morning.
wasn't very good. 129-16. That's the three bowl games over the last three nights, Donnie. So I'm hoping your bowl game talks. I hope their games are better than they have been because they've been hard to watch these bowl games. But hopefully, Bahamas Bowl's always a wild one. So I'm sure that'll be exciting. We'll get into that a little bit later in the show, and we finally hear Donnie sing. So maybe we'll get a little bit more of that later in the show. We'll wait for that. Donnie, I want to welcome all the listeners out there. If you're out there, welcome in. We appreciate you tuning in tonight. We'll get you ready for the Christmas holiday. And if you're out there, like this show. If you're on Twitter, retweet it. That's a great way to get it out to people that maybe haven't seen it or maybe have an interest in the show. And as always, SBRpicks.com. As you head into another Friday here, make sure you're reading the different articles over there. Got the new and improved schedule right now with some of the shows are not going on right now. Peter and Drew and I will be up at 12 o'clock doing some bowl talk, so make sure you tune in for that. All sorts of stuff over at SBR. You got Sportsbit, you got NBA, you got all their bowl picks, a lot of great stuff. Plus, there's links to the contest page, to the form, and to SBR odds as always. Donnie, it's time to get into the show. First of all, how was your night last night? I didn't hear much from you. You were maybe asleep early. What happened?
Yeah, Jeff, you know what's interesting about that? I had a little bit of an edge on the FIU game, which, again, not that much. But after you watch, 3-4 plays, the quarterback goes down. I don't think I watched more than a snap of that football game through the second, third, and fourth quarter. Just got an update every once in a while on my phone, but an absolutely brutal game that we'll talk about a little bit later, but not much on the card. You know me, Jeff, right now, just sitting back, laying in the cut in college basketball, don't give a damn about the NBA or the NHL at this point, and an awful bowl game on. Just sat back, Jeff, watched the movie Dunkirk last night, had a good time, and refreshed and ready to go for the show today.
Yeah, Bruce chat. Shouldn't Bitcoin be a headline today? What,
Yes.
Bruce chat? Should Bitcoin be a headline that it's furiously falling out of falling out of everyone's pockets here? I mean, Bitcoin's down 30% over the last week. Might be time to hopefully no one bought it at 19,000 because if you did,
they did. People maxed it out. That was a 5-star premium play that some touts gave out last night to buy Bitcoin, only to see it crash this morning.
Yeah, that was the new guarantee in money. I mean, you used to be savings accounts and CDs. Now it's Bitcoin. It was such a lock that was going to continue to go up. If you bought it at 19, you really need to reconsider not only not being good at gambling, but not being good at stock picks. Let's get into the show, Donnie. Tim Donaghy arrested again. Again is a little bit of a stretch. He was arrested once. But he was arrested again. And, Donnie, I have to ask, I'm not really sure why he was arrested. He didn't assault anyone. Again, if you read the article, his daughter, who I've actually heard him on the air talking about his daughter before. A friend of mine, Danny B, is close with Tim Donaghy. And I've actually talked with Donaghy on the air before. He's a pretty nice guy, actually. And look, I know he's had some problems in the past, with some of the reffing and stuff, but Donnie, I'll ask you. I mean, you have a daughter. Many of the listeners have kids. If you heard your daughter was in maybe a harm's way situation, even if she's 19, 20 years old, you're probably going to run to her aid. Why he grabbed a hammer, I'm not sure. But maybe he was given intel that there was someone there that shouldn't be. He was just protecting himself. He didn't assault anyone. I'm not sure why he was charged with assault here. Again, we have to learn more about the situation here. But, again, when I hear stories like this, I don't necessarily go up in arms about it, just because I think a lot of us would react certain ways. Did he need to take a hammer? No. But again, when you run to a situation where you're not really sure what is going to be the outcome, a weapon could be important. I don't know the story. I don't know what exactly happened and why he grabbed the weapon, but he didn't hit anyone. I'm not really sure why he was arrested for assault.
Yeah, no, I just like to poke fun at a fake tout. I mean, getting arrested in the spotlight again. It's just like you just see him pop up there, and it's with stories that never go away. Like, yeah, Tim Donaghy cheated, and there was a book written about him, and he threw NBA games. I get it. And then somewhere arises as a fake tout where his only edge in professional sports gambling was he actually cheated the game itself. But yet people are going to go out there and maybe pay him money or even listen to him talk out there like he knows what he's talking about. I mean, come on, Tim, get out of here.
No, I actually disagree completely. He's actually a really good handicapper, NBA wise.
Yeah, great handicapper. I'll be a great handicapper too. Imagine if I was betting in the NFL, Jeff, and I can actually fix the NFL game and be done with it. That's a great edge, but he has no edge.
Let's remember, he wasn't a tout during being a ref. His edge is the fact that he knows all sorts of different things that maybe a regular fan or person doesn't. I'm not defending the guy. All I'm saying is I've talked to the guy before. He's a pretty nice guy, and I've actually said on record before, if I was going to pay for picks, it would be from someone like him. I mean, he has an intimate edge that none of us have. He was an NBA ref for many years.
What edge does he have? Right? His edge was cheating the game. He has no edge right now, zero. Like, he won games because he cheated. Come on. You don't believe that, do you? He has an edge? What edge does he have?
He actually didn't win game. He was not a tout until after the fact.
That's what I'm saying. Like that, like he wasn't a
because he has an edge because he knows
he cheated NBA games. He cheated NBA games and won money for people, right? Gets arrested and comes back out. He has no edge anymore. It's like the stock market guy who had an inside edge on the stock market, got arrested, now has no edge, and now he's selling stock tips.
I'm not saying he has an edge. He has an edge because he knows stuff that I don't know. He knows the tendencies of what certain refs are going to do. He knows the players. That's what I'm saying. He has a distinct advantage over everyone else. He's reffed the games. He's in the locker rooms. He sees the things that go on. He knows the tendencies of how certain games are called. Come on, Donnie, you don't see that? I mean, he knows the kind of intimate things that
at all. But so you're saying right now, if a ref, like, you watch Mike Pereira on there get on live TV, he was the head of officiating, right? And then he comes on and can't get a single thing correct when he's trying to call a game. These guys have zero edge. They're old men. Put them out the pasture. Your edge was cheating the game. You have no edge anymore. Get out. Beat it.
We'll get Donahue on the show, and you can say it to his face. Because
I will say it right to his face. We're going to come at me with a hammer? Come on.
But Donnie, you're being ridiculous here. You can't give him any credit that he doesn't have an edge. He has an edge, Donnie. He was a ref, for God's sakes. What are you talking about?
All right, great. Bernie Madoff right now. Bernie Madoff's edge was not even stock trading. Are you going to get stock advice from Bernie Madoff?
That is not. What does Bernie Madoff anything to do with anything?
Because he's a cheater. He cheated to get money. Tim Donaghy wasn't betting games in Las Vegas to keep the way. Tim Donaghy was betting games because he could cheat the actual game.
First of all, he wasn't arrested for fixing anything. He was arrested for, betting on games that he was officiating. He didn't. Yeah, because he
fixed the NBA game. That's what he got arrested for.
Listen, Donnie, at the end of the day, you're missing my point. All I'm saying is now that he's not a ref anymore, he's actually a pretty effective tout. You can look it up. Being a ref, I would.
I'll go with this again. Where's he tracked and documented at?
Donnie, again, you just don't want to give another tout credit. I know you think.
No, I give plenty of tout. There's some really good touts out there in the business, but don't tell me if you're fixing something and then all of a sudden you're not fixing it and now you're a tout. A tout for what? Your edge is.
I'm not saying he has an edge when picking games. I'm just saying
he did have an edge. Yes.
I would pay for the information.
You pay for Bernie Madoff right now? He has no edge.
Yes, I would pay Bernie Madoff to give me financial advice. Yes, I would.
For what reason? 100%. He never even traded stocks. He's a fraud.
Because he has intimate knowledge, Donnie. What are you, nuts?
Intimate knowledge of cheating? What is his knowledge? He traded fake stocks.
Donnie, you're missing the fucking point here. I would pay for what Tim Donnie's giving me because the information is something that I'm getting from. I can't get that from any tout. No tout has the definitive edge of being in a locker room, knowing how the coaches and
being in a locker. When was he in a locker room? 10 years ago? Games changed. What connections does he have? What NBA ref is talking to Tim Donaghy on a day-to-day basis, knowing he's a felon and you'll probably be fired from the league immediately? What intimate information?
Joey Crawford was arrested for tax evasion, Donnie. So you don't think him and Donaghy talk? You don't think all these guys don't talk? What does that matter? So you
One
don't
of the
talk to any
worst refs of all time. Why doesn't he turn tout? Why doesn't every NBA ref who's out of the league turn tout?
I don't know, but to say that you don't think Donnie has a little information that could be interesting and important to a bettor is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
you know what I want to know? If I agree. If I'm paying Tim Donaghy, I want to know somebody else who's throwing games in the NBA. Now he might have that knowledge. I'll give it.
Here's what I'm willing to do. January 1st, I'm going to get in touch with Donaghy, and I'm going to buy his service for a month. And I want to see, and I'm willing to pay for it. I want to see what
And
I'm
the
getting because
NBA of all time, and the NBA of all things, Jeff, which you're a king tout that says you can't cap the NBA. The only way to bet the NBA is fade the public. Now you're going to buy his service because you said he knows something about the NBA. Jeff, you're contradicting yourself. Come on. You say it all the time. You can't win money by capping the NBA, and now you're going to buy information.
First of all, if you'd shut up and let me say what I'm going to say, I'm not buying it. I'm buying it to test it. I want to see if it actually
you would buy his information. Rewind the tape. Everybody out there, rewind the tape.
As a scientific thing to look it up. I want to see if it actually works.
You said if there's one tout you would buy information from, it would be Tim Donaghy. And you say yourself, nobody has an edge in the NBA.
I would buy from Donnie. I want to see if because I want to see if it works, Donnie. Would you take the shit out of your ears and listen?
No,
I'm not buying
you're contradicting yourself.
I want to know if it's going to work.
Nobody has an edge in the NBA, yet this guy has an edge in the NBA.
I want to see if it works, Donnie. I want to see if it works. Right. I want to see if it works. I don't think you can win in the NBA. I want to see if it works, Donnie. That's what I want to see. Because as always, we bring up another tout. You have nothing good to say about him. Give the guy a little respect, Donnie. Come on.
Yeah, give him respect. I mean, felon who cheated the system. Yo, hey, Tim Donaghy, respect, you felon.
Oh yeah, you don't know. Well, Donnie, you know what? Unlike you, I actually will give people second chances. The guy messed up. It is what it is. But the fact that
chance have to do with it.
The fact that the simple fact is, Donnie, you actually don't think Donnie has any edge over me or you or anybody else. He does have information that would be interesting to me. That's what I'm trying to say here. I don't quite don't understand what you're not seeing here. But again, we're gonna move on. Donnie doesn't think Donnie is interesting or has any information at all. I do.
Oh.
So on January 1st, I'm going to check his system out to see what he can actually give me. I'm okay. I've never paid a tout in my life, but as a scientific experience, I'm going to do it. I want to see if it works. I want to see if he has any knowledge, and if he doesn't, he doesn't. I've never bought a tout, and I never will until now. I want to see what he can actually give me. That's what I'm going to do, and we're going to see if it works or not. And if it doesn't, well, then it doesn't. But I'm going to try it. And again, looks like we'll move on here, but a very spirited.
Let's go from felon to felon. I like it. It has an interesting ring to the tone today.
Well, Donnie doesn't think Donnie thinks that just because you go to prison, you're seemingly.
It has nothing to do with going to prison, Jeff. If you have an edge, how about if you're all right? Let's make it real simple before we move on. If you're in high school and you cheated on every single test you took, every single one, and then all of a sudden you weren't allowed to cheat and you failed. You don't have the inside information anymore. Your edge is.
Donnie, again, you're missing the point. I didn't say he's going to give me intimate knowledge on how games are fixed. I didn't say that. All I'm saying is,
that's not what I'm saying.
If I buy Donaghy's picks, I'm a little bit more interested. Like in the case of Gene Steratore tomorrow decided he was going to quit the reffing and give out sports picks, I would be a little bit more inclined to buy his picks over someone else that's never reffed the game before. That would be interesting.
What does he know? What the hell would Gene Steratore know about capping an NFL game? He's a ref.
Well, I would buy it over yours. That's why I'm.
Oh my God! You buy it over my NFL. Congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it'd be interesting to know. I would be interested to know what Gene Steratore could tell me about the things he's seen over the years. It's like anything. If I want to learn about World War II, I'm going to go to a World War II veteran, someone that's actually been there and seen it. That would be interesting. All that stuff. Anything I'm doing. If I want to be a mechanic, I'm going to go learn from a mechanic. I'm not going to learn from some kid down the street that thinks he knows about cars. I'm going to go to a mechanic. Let's move on. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, another person involved with prison here. A very interesting story, actually.
I like this.
This is fascinating. Yes, this is a fascinating story. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is actually, and I do know about this because I have several friends that are on work release right now. One I've told you about, that the barber.
Yeah.
He's serving a 25-day sentence while playing for the Lakers. So
Now, Jeff, why
when
couldn't he
he
get it
leaves.
suspended? Why couldn't he get it suspended though?
Well,
That's the only like
well,
a lot of times they'll work with you, like saying, all right, you have a 25-day, you'll suspend it and you'll serve it what in July, I guess. You know what I mean?
I don't think it works like that. I think
Yeah.
they're gonna. I guess he's been suspending it. I don't really know. I got to look more into that. But he broke his parole, Donnie. That's why. He, I guess, was on probation. He broke his parole on a DUI.
I think it was missing mandatory drug testing. I believe it was
There you go.
on his parole. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. There you go. And now he's basically, when he finishes the game, he goes down to the Seal Beach jail facility. And again, if you know anything about Seal Beach, it's fairly nice. I mean, it's you pay $120 a day.
Yeah.
Right. But you basically get every amenity you would have on the outside. You're just inside. So it's fairly interesting. But he's missed some games, Donnie. It's interesting that the NBA is and the Lakers are okay with this. They're saying, you know what, we're going to be all right with this as long as you it's only 25 days. It's not a long thing or anything, but
I believe
the
interesting thing, Jeff, he's actually not allowed to play out of state. So I believe he's going to miss 3 basketball games, which I guess long term doesn't mean like that much, because obviously if it's 25 days, he could have missed like an 8-game road trip, but he's only going to miss 3 games over the entire haul of this.
Yeah, I mean, the NBA, a very interesting league, I have to say. I've never seen anything like this. It would really be interesting if they said, you know what, no amenities. We're going to send you up to San Quentin. You're going to do your prison sentence there, and you're going to be let go on work release. But you got to come back and you got to sit in the regular cell like everybody else. That would be interesting. It's amazing they actually have a facility that the inmates can pay to have better amenities than everyone else. What about all the other people that do the same crime, like the guy on the street? And he has to go sit in an actual jail, but because KCP's in the NBA, he gets special treatment. Quite the country we live in here. Very fair, I think. But again,
yeah, a lot of people don't have that $1.25 a night, Jeff. You know what I mean?
That's a shame. Yeah. That's a shame, personally. It's a shame that one guy, because he's a little bit more money than everyone else, it gets to go where he wants. Only in America, they would say.
Yep, exactly.
But again, that was by the way, that was a very good Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Cage match there, Donnie, right? We were on.
Yeah, we have fun. Hey, look, me and Jeff have fun with this. We bring it. Sometimes some things get us a little worked up. We bring it. At the end of the day, we hug up.
I'll tell you what. That was 100% normal. We did not talk about that beforehand.
Not one bit.
I like Donahue. Like I've said, I've chatted with him before. He seems like a cool guy. But I think the lost thing, Donnie, here is if this was your daughter and you heard she was doing drugs or somebody.
Yeah, the story today has nothing to do with what we're talking about from before. You're right. Anything over family. You're right. I mean, I don't know. I don't know this real story. I just read up on it. Grab a hammer, go after somebody, yada yada yada, and it obviously isn't that big of a felony or a crime, because I believe it was like $2,500 bail or something like that. So it's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. But he just popped back up in the media there. That's all.
And not for nothing, this probably actually improves his career standing.
Jeff, all press is good press, right?
Right. It's like being a rapper. If you get shot in the leg, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
Remember in Sopranos when Bobby Bocciolieri shot that rapper because he wanted street cred?
Oh, but yes, you get street cred. Street cred is worth a lot of money,
part of
Jeff.
the thigh. Bobby Bocciolieri. I'm a march. Fleshy part of the thigh. Donnie, we move on to another interesting group, Florida State, the Seminoles. Again, if this was Iowa State, would they have some monumental error where they'd not look into the bowl? If this was, Montana State, would they look into the? I mean, it's amazing what these Florida States and these schools get away with. It's supposedly Florida State, Delaware State was not a legitimate FCS opponent, and they counted it as a win when they probably shouldn't have. Florida State should not be at a bowl; they should be at home. And a team like Buffalo, who actually played pretty well this year, they should be in a bowl game. It's really a shame what these big time schools are able to pull off, Donnie.
It doesn't even make sense, Jeff. Like the NCAA has limited, jobs that they actually have to do. How hard is it to have institutions where you have the beginning of the season, right? You say, all right, we have an FCS team, you have an FCS team. All right, to make this a legitimate win for a bowl game, you have to submit paperwork. And it's an easy, hey, Delaware State, how many active scholarships got on the team? We have 61. Good, you're in. Is that hard? Jeff, I'm literally pick up the phone and tell them to fax over, email you over the scholarships on the football team. That's all you have to do. It's not even like, Jeff, you have even college basketball where each team plays like 40 games by the end of the season. There's like 10 or 11 games. You can't get that right. And it's not even every game. It's just FCS opponents. Florida State, how many FCS opponents do you have? 2. All right, send it over. Nobody checked or balanced any one of those things. And especially, Jeff, with the team that was hanging on. Let's just say Florida State had 9 wins. It doesn't even matter. But the fact that Florida State had to reschedule an opponent just to try to get into a bowl game, and then you're going to go back. Wouldn't you check everything? Say, all right, let's just make sure you're going to reschedule this game, that everything's on the up and up on your schedule. No checks and balances. That's NCAA for you right there, Jeff.
No, it's totally NCAA, and that's a real shame because, like I said, I mean, there are teams out there that probably deserve it over Florida State, honestly, and would probably play a whole lot better game than Florida State, too. Definitely a shame. But I got to also ask, how do you not use all your scholarships? I mean, how do you not do that?
It's really baffling. You're right. It's real. Like the whole thing doesn't make any sense. You get it. I could see like on a larger level. Let's just say Florida State's recruiting, and they have 2 or 3 extra scholarships they don't want to use this year. They want to use them the next year. I get it. But you're looking at, Jeff, I think it was like 60. Like there was like 30 missing scholarships. It wasn't like 1 or 2.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, but now, like everything else, they'll benefit off it, and the next poor sap that does it, they'll not benefit off it. And going forward, yet another screws tightened here because of a mistake. I don't know why the mistake has to be made before you say, you know what, maybe there's issues here. These clerical errors are getting bad. I mean, remember when the Phillies traded away the wrong guy because someone made a clerical error in the office? I mean, Domingo Santana was traded.
Yes.
Yeah, amazing. It's
Left on
amazing.
a list he was never supposed to be on. And they're like, oh, look at this. We just got a huge steal right here, and it's already turned in the league, so you couldn't take it back. And yes, ineptitude at the highest levels, Jeff, on billion-dollar organizations when all they have to do is do simple checks and balances.
So here on our final show before Christmas, let this be a lesson to all of you out there. Whatever you do, every day. It's interesting, Donnie. This actually relates to a listener of ours. I had a listener last night. He mentioned to me that when I gave a pick out the other night, UNC over, he bet under by accident. And I said, and this kind of relates, let this be a lesson to everyone out there. In everything you do, make sure you double check what you do. When you go to the doctor, make sure you're getting the right medication. Make sure it's not, maybe the pharmacist was drunk. Who knows? Make sure when you put a bet in, you're double checking it. It's your money. Don't be.
Now, Jeff, have you done that before, though? Have you ever done that before? I have.
Have I ever put the wrong bet in?
I have fat fingered a bet, trying to get it in at the last minute to try to get something, and realized 3 to 4 minutes later that I did take the under. I took the 3.5 instead of minus 3.5. I have done that in the past. Feel like an idiot. And you know what the problem is, Jeff, with that? I usually lose that game that I do that myself. You know how you're supposed to put it in like, oh, look at I took the wrong end, and I won money. I lose that game more times than often that I do that. Supposed to have reserves.
No, I think we've all done that. Actually, yes, definitely. I've definitely put the wrong bet in, and all I'm saying is leave it be a lesson to you. Make sure in everything you do, you're checking your work. Yes, we've definitely put the wrong bets in, surely. Donnie, we move on to a little football. And I always like the little thing what is this here? Bowling for dollars or whatever.
Yep.
By the way, I'm a little irritated today. First of all, I am fucking sick. I am sick and tired of every fucking page I go on. There's a fucking ad. Why can't I look at stats without a fucking ad all the time?
You're so right, man. You're so right. And because I use Fangraphs in the summertime for baseball, and it's like $25 or $50 for the year to get the ads off there. It's amazing. Like you go on Fangraphs and you just want some simple information, and they absolutely destroy your entire process and your feeling for the website by letting you wait around. I paid the $50 and it runs like a Ferrari, but every single website, like when you see something on Twitter, Jeff, how many times you say, oh, check the practice report for this team. You click on the site and you get absolutely bombarded. You're 100% right on that, man.
It's amazing. And I'll tell you one of the best investments I've ever made on any sort of web stuff. YouTube, paying the $9.99 to get the ads off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Awesome.
YouTube Red. What is it called? Red, I guess, that you have to buy. Yeah, it gets the
Yeah,
ad.
YouTube
You're right.
Red, right,
You want
right.
to listen to some music, Jeff? Every time you change it, and sometimes they stick you. Usually they say you can get out of this ad in like 10 seconds, and every once in a while, Jeff, they bang you at the you're going to watch this 2-minute ad right here, pal.
Right. So if anyone is interested, feel free to send us a donation to pay for our YouTube Red. So that would be great. But no, ESPN, Donnie, is notorious for the videos.
Oh,
They have literally a video on every, like, I want to see the fucking 3-yard run that Temple had last night.
yes.
Like, I care. I mean, move on. And then above the little video, there's 8 other fucking ads. Temple, Donnie, last night ravages the
yeah.
Golden Panthers. And you got to feel bad for FIU. I mean, McGuff goes out. I mean, literally a couple plays into the game, and look, their backup was horrid. I mean, he was really hard. 2 interceptions. I mean, he's just one of those really green kind of dual threat quarterbacks, but he's a young kid. He has no real experience. Frankie Newtall, who Donnie is Frank Newtall not the quintessential New Jersey teenager? I mean, is he not?
Yes. Yes, he's at Belmar. He's at Seaside Heights in the summer. He's got his shirt off. He's stand up. Yes, correct.
Right. Do you not see him at fucking on DJs?
And his name Frankie. Frankie Juice is the guy's name.
Right.
That's yes.
And if you ask, like, where did he go to school? Would you not guess Don Bosco? I mean, honestly, would there be any other place that he would go? I mean, really, it's amazing. Frankie Juice Newtall, a nice game last night. They had a pretty good offensive. They really kind of turned up late in the game. Didn't look good early, but in the second half, they really started to open it up. Defense was fantastic for Temple last night. And I want to give Jeff Collins a little credit. I thought this team would really struggle this year. I thought they're 4 or 5 win, maybe a bowl win team, but they were really impressive towards the end, and I'm excited about this group going forward. I mean, they're a young team, lost a ton last year, lost their whole coaching staff. They could have basically said, you know what, this is a rebuilding year. We're going to win 4 or 5 games and get ready for 2018, but they didn't. They went out, they competed. They were really good towards the last 2 months of the season. Impressive work by Jeff Collins. They're going to be a good football team next year, especially with Newtall coming back. He was only a freshman, and he played well this year. You're going to get David Hood back. You're going to get certain guys back. Impressive work by Temple this year. Nice bowl win. We move on to today's games, Donnie, and I'm going to let you basically have the air here. I am coming up. I already did a breakdown, which we'll talk about. This one was one we did yesterday. UAB and Ohio in the Bahamas Bowl. A bowl always very interesting, Donnie. Ohio laying 6.5, which it's been 6.5 pretty much for as long as I can remember. 57 on an over-under. Look, I took UAB in this game. I'm going to be frank with you. I think quarterback-wise, I trust Erdley. I think he can move the ball against Ohio's pass defense. Ohio's 97th in the league in the country against the pass, and I'm a little concerned from Ohio's standpoint. First of all, with some of their injuries, Cope's injured, Dorian Brown's injured, Olette's not going to play in this game. There's questionable players that may not be in this game. It's going to be a lot of pressure on Rourke, who is also kind of off an injury as well. It's going to be a great game, but I look at UAB from a motivation standpoint. Bill Clark, to me, is the coach of the year. He's done some amazing things at Alabama and Birmingham. And you talk about from a motivational standpoint, is there any team more motivated to go to a bowl than UAB, Donnie?
No, I mean, it's everything wrapped and rolled into one. You're right talking about this football game. I can't, for some reason, I like Frank Solich as a head football coach. He doesn't tell you anything or give you any inside information or anything even pertinent. Answer reporter's question. Hey, is AJ Olette going to play? I don't know. I mean, the guy could have a broken leg and be just out of surgery, and he's going to give you the old song and dance. We don't talk about injuries he might play in this game. But you're right. If you take a look, Jeff, heading down the backstretch of the season, UAB was a great story all season long. You look at the way they ended the season. Is it any shame, Jeff, they go down and lose in the swamp 36-7? No. I mean, they played well in that football game early, but you're just going to have an SEC team versus a lower level team. It's going to pay off at the end of the game. They just have more weapons, more athletes than you. But then you come back in the last game of the season after getting thumped by Florida in the swamp, albeit like your Super Bowl that's put on the line, and you beat a bad UTEP team, but you beat them pretty soundly, 28-7. Even dating back, Jeff, let's not forget forget, they beat decent teams on the road. Southern Miss 30-12. Rice is a bad football team. They pummeled them and put them away. UTSA is one of the best football defenses in those lower level non-P5 conferences, Jeff. They beat them 24-19. Then you reverse and take a look back at Ohio. And I know the MAC's getting smacked around because Akron didn't put up any showcase, which one of the anomalies in the entire football season, Jeff, was Akron's performance against Ohio. But heading down the stretch, 37-34, they lose to Akron. Against Buffalo, 31-24. They do have a tendency to keep football games close, and they are talented. But, Jeff, all season long, Nathan Rourke is a passer. Sometimes he just doesn't show up at all. And I mean, like, Jeff, not having we had a bad game, 12 of 19 for 222 yards. I mean, this kid sometimes throws for single digits in an entire half. I don't want any part of that. I think UAB is fired up, motivated, and ready to go. And you're right, Jeff, about the A.J. Olette injury. If you haven't watched Ohio play football, it's built on the read option, the zone read, and A.J. Olette is a tank in the middle. 5, 6, 7 yards right up the gut to keep you honest. Mm-hmm. If he's not in this football game, that's a major disadvantage, Jeff. I agree with you on UAB here.
Yeah, a Toby Gerhart type of player there.
Yes.
Big kid, big bruising kid. When you need 2 or 3 yards, he's going to get 2 or 3 yards. And look, you and I, Donnie, have watched Ohio a ton. I got to be honest. I do think for them, this is a bit of a bowl that maybe, I guess going to the Bahamas is never bad, but I thought their season should have been a little bit better. I thought they were one of the better teams in the MAC. I could have seen them in a better bowl game. But from this standpoint, I think both these teams are going to be very interested in playing in this game. But for me, UAB, I'm a little bit more right now with them, I feel a little bit better. A lot of injuries for Ohio. UAB for the, getting the 6.5. If you can get a 7, which I think yesterday on the show, Peter Loshek and I did end up getting 7 on this game. I don't think there's any 7s left, really. But, if you're in the business of buying points, which I'm really not generally, but in a bowl game, you're paying a little extra juice to get that solid 7. I don't think it's ever a bad idea. But I've noticed with this bowl game, it's always very close, generally. I got the solid 7, so I'm happy with that. Donnie, bowl games are great. You really could find some major edges if you looked in the right places. Donnie and I both agree, Jeff, UAB.
Yeah, it's UAB, definitely. I mean, take a look at Ohio coming down the stretch. I mean, they did face some decent passing teams, Jeff, but I still can't get over this one. And again, I know it's an anomaly, Jeff. Ohio gave up 322 yards passing to Akron. Akron looks like they struggle to even throw a slip screen pass at time. Look at their last couple games. Buffalo, no more as a running team, Jeff. 294. Akron, 322. Toledo, they're always going to get theirs, 263 in the air. Before that, Jeff, Gus Ragland and Miami of Ohio, 350 in the air on Ohio. They're susceptible to that, and UAB has a decent offense, Jeff. I think UAB can hang around this football game. I'm not saying UAB is going to come out, walk over, and, oh, my God, they're just going to win this game outright and, pummel Ohio. But there's no reason to believe, Jeff, they're not going to hang around this football game with a great shot to win it.
Yeah, I think as far as a total also, I mean, I got to look under. I mean, UAB's a fairly efficient defensive team. So is Ohio. But, again, I think the play here is on the side. Next one, Central Michigan. At Wyoming. This is what bowl is this? The Idaho Potato Bowl.
Idaho Potato, yes.
Which I have to tell you, I have a listener. He listens in quite frequently. Jamari. I've actually talked with him, Donnie, several times. He used to play at Maryland University. He was a cornerback there back in the Nolan Carroll days. And he told me that they went to the Idaho Potato Bowl once, and he told me it was a very interesting bowl as far as you wouldn't believe it, but Boise is a very boisterous nightlife. And he told me that it was a wild nightlife there. He said they had a lot of kids suspended that day. It was a fairly interesting place to go for a bowl game. You wouldn't think it was, but I got some concerns about Josh Allen. I mean, first of all, you got to ask yourself, I mean, from the standpoint of him, he's a top-level quarterback in the draft. He has an injury. Is he going a little too hard here? I mean, with this bowl? And you also look at the fact that they just haven't been very effective offensively this year, frankly. I mean, even with Josh Allen healthy, they have not been good. And I have a hard time really backing them in any sort of standpoint. I mean, Central Michigan improved this year defensively. Offensively, they missed. Look, Cooper Rush is Cooper Rush, but Shane Marsh has been pretty admirable, Donnie. They've been a good road team, 5-2 straight up, 5-2 against the number. I just don't really. I get why Wyoming's maybe the favorite, but then I don't. Why is Wyoming a favorite in this game? I don't really get it.
Yeah, I think just looking at Wyoming overall, strength of schedule, they play in a tougher conference, and you're getting your quarterback who's missed a couple football games out, which is going to skew those numbers. But again, you're right, Jeff. Like San Jose State is one of the single worst football teams in the country. Forget about pulling out a victory, Jeff. They lost outright to San Jose State. Fresno State 13-7. I mean, that's a decent game you're going to put up there, but you showed no offense, which is where you have to take a little bit of a step back and say, you know what? Josh Allen was banged up and missed those football games. He's going to be back in this. The one angle I do want to look at, though, Jeff, I mean, we know Maction, you're going to score, right? But you have all the components of what you want from Central Michigan's offense. A few really good running backs and explosive running backs. A quarterback, when you get good, Shane Morris is a good quarterback. Obviously, a Power 5 quarterback transferring down divisions to play with Central Michigan this year. Now you're also looking at 3 really good wide receivers for Central Michigan and maybe the best tight end in the MAC and, a top 10 tight end prospect heading into the NFL draft Central Michigan has also. Jeff, I'm looking at this 45 as a number, and I'm really scratching my head because the pace of play that Central Michigan wants to go. I mean, let's take a look at their points, Jeff, last 5 games. 56, 35, 42, 42, 31. And Northern Illinois has a pretty good defense that you hung the 31 on. What am I missing here is when I scratch my head in this total play, because if you're saying, all right, let's play counter argument here, Jeff, it is going to be played in Boise. But these two football teams, Jeff, are really happy to be playing in this type of atmosphere. Wyoming, are they not used to the cold? I mean, they wake up every day in 20 degrees out there. Central Michigan, up in the peninsula. What are we looking at? I mean, wind, rain. They play in the MAC, which is awful conditions, a lot of these Tuesday and Wednesday night football games. And then you fast forward and say, okay, what's the weather going to be? It's going to be in the high 30s, very, very light wind, and no precipitation. 45, it's got just by default, I'm taking over 45 here, Jeff.
Yeah, I think one thing that I'm really interested in buying in on Central Michigan is they're a really good passing defense. I mean,
They are.
top 25 in the country. I mean, they're really good. From that standpoint, and yeah, I could see it. I think it's like I think it gets to 50. Surely, I mean, I don't.
It's got to get it. Yeah. I mean, I understand like the way Wyoming styles and play, but again, if you're just going to be that analytics guy, you do have to throw the last 2 football games out when they don't have their quarterback. How healthy will he be? That's going to be a stretch. But you bring up a really good point, Jeff, with Central Michigan's defense overall. It is a MAC defense, yes, but they have components that you need every once in a while. They have a really, really good front 4 that gets after the quarterback, and for a while had the sack leader in the nation on their team. They're going to be able to heat up the pocket a little bit and keep them in. And again, Jeff, Central Michigan on offense is completely healthy. Everybody's ready to go in this one.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting number for sure. I'm on the. I think Central Michigan wins this game. I like them on the money line in this one. Wyoming just doesn't do too much for me. Donnie, if Central Michigan gets 24 points, I think they're going to win this game. And look, Wyoming is okay defensively. They're not. I don't think they're as good as Central Michigan. I'm very happy with what I got here with Central Michigan. They're definitely going to be on. They're definitely going to be on my
action
card.
today.
I
Jeff
say
got
this.
2 MAC teams and 2 MAC games, so it is interesting.
Yeah, good point. That's a great point. A little action. I say this with an unblemished history of being a heterosexual. I like Donnie's shirt. Yeah, it is. It is a nice shirt. Donnie always has those collared shirts on. Donnie, let's move on. Let's do a little hardwood talk here.
Sure.
And couple real quick before we get into the breakdowns. Pretty big win last night for San Diego State. A huge win, really.
Yes.
For at-large hopes. They played really well last night against Gonzaga. The defense was, very Steve Fisher-esque. Really, the final score doesn't indicate how good they were defensively. Gonzaga got a couple late buckets, but I mean, Josh Perkins was horrendous last night. John Williams didn't have a good game. Tilly didn't have a good game. San Diego State that was a big time win last night for that group. Really impressive stuff, and that really helps a Dutcher's crew out for the at-large hopes. But Donnie, let's get into some action here. We got some.
Let me set it up for you. Let me
afternoon
set it up here for you, Jeff. Afternoon action. I know you love afternoon action, Jeff. It's the gift that keeps on giving today. Especially when are we going to get a Temple back-to-back here? Temple spotlight last night. Now 1 p.m. going to be another spotlight. 8:19, 8:20 Temple, Georgia. Light ticketing action right now, Jeff. Only about 800 tickets have been tracked offshore, but 77%, Jeff, of those tickets coming in on the spread wager are going to be backing the Georgia Bulldogs. Line opened up. Here we go, Jeff. You ready for this? Line opened at Pinnacle at 3. Line opened up at Chris at 3. Sitting right now at Chris is 3. Sitting right now at Pinnacle is 3. Line is not moving despite 77% of those tickets and 90% of the money lining up on those Georgia Bulldogs. We know Temple, Jeff. The one thing that we like to say, if you watch it last night in the football game, it crows throughout the university. The hashtag is Temple Tough. They'll play you anywhere, anytime in order to get battle tested heading into conference play. Another one of those shaping up here, going down and playing in the SEC. What can we look forward to today from the Temple Owls after, Jeff, we were there. We were there versus Villanova, outclassed, but then again, we're talking about the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah, Temple had a nice little week off here, pretty much. They last played on Saturday against Drexel, which, yet another game for the Owls where they go up big and blow the lead. They have a major issue right now, Donnie, laying points. And that's why, if you remember, I said that Saturday there'd be no way I'd be interested in Temple in that game because I don't want to bet them laying points. I just don't. In this spot, though, this is where I want Temple as an underdog, getting points off of a little bit of a break. They needed a break. They'd played a lot of games. They played that game against Villanova, like you said. And look, I'm not particularly high on Georgia this year. I'm a big Yante Maton fan, like him a lot. But other than that, I wonder, do they have someone that can step up and be, a J.J. Frazier, a Charles Mann type of player? William Jackson's played pretty well, but other than that, they don't have a double-digit scorer. I wonder if, because Temple can score. Their guards are really good. We know what Obi can do. But listen, they're going to have to play big down low Temple today because Maton is a real good player. He's a kid that's been a mainstay at that university for many years. I'm not in love with this game, but from a standpoint of Temple, being on the road, having a little bit of a rest, I would back them here. I mean, they're 4-2 straight up on the road. Did some good things in that tournament down in Charleston by beating, a team like, an Auburn, beating teams like that. They're better than Georgia. The fact that they could beat Auburn was pretty impressive. I'm not a big Georgia guy. I would take the points here with the Owls. I think they will hang in this game. I think they're going to win it, personally. A little curious as to why Georgia's laying 3 points here.
All right, we'll keep it moving here, Jeff. Coming up next year, 9/11, 9/12, Dunk City, Florida Gulf Coast versus Wichita State. Light betting action. Only about 300 tickets have been tracked so far on this one. 82%, Jeff, of those tickets leaning towards the Wichita State Shockers. You are getting some good information back if you're looking at the waiver wires, I like to say, with some injury information. Marcus McDuffie is supposed to play in this game, now listed as probable. Line opened up at 17, Jeff. Currently sitting at 17.5 at some outlets. The Greek, Jeff, even showing now minus 18.5. What are we going to check out on this game? Dunk City, we all know Dunk City from back in the day. I mean, very impressive. Obviously playing a lower level of basketball than what Wichita State is. That's a heavy number, Jeff. You need to close close to 20 points and able to get this win. Will Wichita State be up for this one?
Here's the problem, Donnie, with Florida Gulf Coast in this game. Wichita State's not playing well right now. Defensively, they're a mess. I mean, they're not playing well. They're having some issues. We saw what happened against Oklahoma. They were never in that game. Getting McDuffie back, though, is big. I mean, waiting for him to get back is like a team waiting for their top player to get back. He's a guy that will make a difference right away. And that's kind of, for me, FGCU's problem here. Problem for them is they're not playing well either. So that's kind of a concern. They're off of a loss to Florida International. The Golden Panthers are awful, and they give up 91 points in that game. Also lost by 19 to Oral Roberts. I mean, that team's not any good. I mean, they're losing to Florida Atlantic, giving up 92 points. This is a concern for me. Wichita State should have no issue scoring in this game. While I think usually with Wichita, you normally think at home, this is too many points, that kind of thing. But the truth of the matter is Wichita has been extremely good at home against the spread and even laying these kind of numbers. I'm not really excited about this spot for Florida Gulf Coast just because they're not playing particularly well right now. If you were getting a team that had won 4 or 5 and maybe you're beating a decent team here or there, maybe I'd be interested. But the way they play defense, and with the fact that as a home favorite of 12.5 or more points, Wichita State is 17-6 over the last 23 as a favorite of that number. Greg Marshall gets the job done against teams like this. I'm concerned about FGCU's defense in this game. They're a good team. Don't get me wrong. They can score. They can do the little things. But you have a pissed-off Wichita State team that's not played well. They're getting their big boy back in McDuffie. I'm not looking to step in front of them in this one.
Yeah, college basketball. I mean, hey, we're at that point of the year where, we're winding down. You're heading towards a holiday break. Finals, students aren't on campus now. It all ramps right back up once the new year begins with some conference play. So a lot to look forward to here, Jeff, in college basketball coming up. We'll slide it down a little bit as we like to get a little bit of NFL action in here today, Jeff. Do or die in the NFL. And there's a couple key games out there that we do want to take a look at. Seattle and the Dallas Cowboys, Falcons, Saints, Rams, and Titans. Why don't we get right to it, Jeff? No Sunday night football game this weekend, obviously due to Christmas Eve. I guess they just didn't want to, put the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football Christmas Eve, ruin some holidays around the United States out there. But if you take a look at this game, Jeff, Seattle Seahawks and the Cowboys, I'll let you go a little bit on this football game to start out. Do or die, as I like to say, is de facto playoff game for both of these football teams. One team getting their horse back. The other team looks like somebody stole their horse, so to speak. What are you looking forward to in this game, Jeff?
Well, I'm looking forward to, at the end of the day, the fact that they have Russell Wilson, and he's a guy that I think is going to keep them in this game. They're getting healthier on the defensive end. I know they got to go on the road. I know they got to face the vaunted Ezekiel Elliott, but is Ezekiel Elliott going to come in and maybe throw off the Cowboys a little bit? Donnie, I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, but with the Eagles, they got a big injury back. They got Ronald Darby back. Their defense hasn't been the same since Ronald Darby came back. He's kind of thrown off the momentum. But a guy like Ezekiel Elliott, he's going to come in right away and contribute. He's a great player. I think he's going to have a little bit of he's going to take advantage of the situation, really maybe stick it to the league. He looks like he's in great shape as always. I don't think he's going to miss a beat, but this is a do or die game. Seattle's a team that I just don't want to bet against Russell Wilson, quite frankly. That defense for Dallas scares me. And after last week, Seattle didn't play well. They were kind of blown out in that game. I look for them to come back here with a better effort in a do or die kind of game. Seattle's lost 2 in a row. They need to wake up here. This is their last shot. And like General Custer, I think they'll take their last shot here. I'm interested in the points a lot here, especially with a Dallas defense that's terrible. Right?
Yeah, no, it's an interesting ball game because going back and I watched the game again last night, Jeff, with Seattle, and it's one of those games where sometimes you almost have to throw it out. Every punt return went for like 40 to 50 yards. One even went down to the 1 yard line and gave a free touchdown to the Rams. But Pharaoh Cooper was amazing. You want to talk about flipping field position, Jeff? Watching the Rams start damn near every drive on Seattle's territory, that doesn't help. Now, don't get me wrong. They got pasted. Their offense looked terrific. But if you're checking back the last 3 football games that they played, Jeff, let's go over Seattle. You want to have a murderer's row, as I like to say, when I tweeted out yesterday. You're playing the Philadelphia Eagles. You're playing the Rams, and you're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. What do all 3 of those teams have in common? They get after the pass rusher and can really exploit your deficiencies on the offensive line. Now you get over to the Dallas Cowboys. They can't effectively do that. So Russell Wilson, instead of being under siege in a football game, he's going to have a little bit more time to make his street ball plays, roll out of the pocket, find some guys out there running some scramble drills. But the one thing that I do caution here, if you are going to bet the Seattle Seahawks, is they are getting KJ Wright back. That's enormous in this football game. Bobby Wagner, as Earl Thomas said last week, he wasn't himself. I'm talking, Jeff, where you're handing off to Gurley. He's making one cut move to the outside, and Wagner is in quicksand in the middle of the field. He literally had every single running lane that he wanted Todd Gurley. It's a matter of fact, is Seattle going to be, put out the pasture in this football game, or they have a little bit of life to fight back? Because what Seattle does, Jeff, can go against and exploit a little bit for what the Dallas Cowboys like to do. Whereas you're looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're just going to collapse the pocket and crush Russell Wilson. The same thing last week. Aaron Donald had a field day, Jeff, on that offensive line for the Seattle Seahawks, as he typically does. I was actually on the Seattle Seahawks in that game and lost badly, but before I was on the Los Angeles Rams a little bit early in the season. They thoroughly outplayed the Seattle Seahawks, but just weren't able to get it done, and that was with the Richard Sherman and Cam Chancellor-led Seattle Seahawks squad. So heading into this one, I do think it's a little bit high of a price for Dallas. I know everybody wants Ezekiel Elliott back in the football game. I get it. He's going to be a big proponent, and if you're looking at last week saying Todd Gurley bludgeoned the hell, and so did Leonard Fournette, bludgeoned the hell out of the Seattle Seahawks, I can see that as well. So a lot still up in the air. I'm looking at this football game, but you're right. Do or die in this game. Seattle's last stand could be here, Jeff.
Yeah, I agree totally. Looking forward to this game. Should be a fun one. One of the better games of the weekend for sure, Donnie.
Yeah. No, we'll keep it moving there, Jeff. Falcons and Saints, an interesting one. We saw it play out a couple weeks back on Thursday Night Football where the Saints went in and played Atlanta. Atlanta put out a nice victory and stole right from the clutches, right, Jeff? I mean, came all the way down to an interception by Drew Brees in the end zone, which is very uncharacteristic, where I believe if they just kicked the field goal, they would have sent the game to overtime. Goes to the touchdown. They end up with a loss. Another do-or-die football game because it's do-or-die for the Atlanta Falcons. If the Atlanta Falcons win this game, Jeff, they're in the playoffs. no matter what happens to anybody else, Atlanta's going to punch their ticket. But playing down in the Dome in New Orleans, Kenny Vaccaro going out for an injury is really interesting for the New Orleans Saints. That might open it up a little bit more for Julio Jones down the field. But to me right now, I haven't made a decision on this game, still checking some things. Are you going to be able to go against the Saints, Jeff, in the Dome?
No, and especially not with the Atlanta Falcons who are 2-5 on the road against the spread. I'm not interested in the Falcons. Just aren't. I don't think their offense is that good. I think this year they've definitely clearly taken a big step back. And I got to wonder how good their defense is. I got to be frank with you. I wasn't too impressed with what they did Monday night. Seemed like they just couldn't keep or pull away from Tampa Bay. And that's a concern. I mean, Tampa Bay's 4-9, 4-10 now. You got to be able to pull away from a team like that. And again, am I salty kind of that, just because they didn't cover? Look, I mean, I thought Atlanta definitely should have covered a game. They couldn't pull away. I wonder how good their defense is. I think they've been masked a little bit. I think New Orleans is the best team in that division. I think they're going to take another step towards winning that division. I'm not looking to bet against Breeze in the Dome. It's under a touchdown. Atlanta's on the road. Yeah, I like Atlanta here. Or
you know what's really, really interesting about this game too, Jeff? Because if we remember back, I mean, styles make fights. I get it. It's going to be a battle. I mean, these two teams are playing for their lives. New Orleans wants to win that division and maybe even creep up if possible to get that 2 seed, but at least hold on to that 3 seed. If you remember, Jeff, very early in that football game, one of the best playmakers in the NFL this year is Alvin Kamara. He gets knocked out of that game in the first quarter with a concussion and completely changes the way that the New Orleans Saints wanted to run in that football game. You want to have the Mark Ingram hammer up the middle, but you want Kamara out there playing like a satellite back. He's back and healthy for this football game. Another interesting thing also, Tevin Coleman will be back in this football game for a concussion. Now, he played in the last time out, but this game coming right down to the wire, could it be Alvin Kamara helping the Saints here to say, you know what, I'm back, I'm ready to go, feed me at home here on the turf? But the one thing I do again, a little bit of caution here if you're looking at Atlanta. I don't take so much out about that game that they played versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the previous week, because Atlanta's defense is built for turf. Atlanta's defense is coming hard off the edge and getting a speed rush. They're going to be in a dome this week, as they like to play in a dome at home as well. But when you get Atlanta on grass, that speed rush is pretty much ineffective. They didn't pressure Jameis Winston, albeit that much on Monday Night Football. But this time in the dome, they're going to be able to heat up the pocket a little bit against Drew Brees. But I do think right now I'm leaning more towards the Saints here, Jeff.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. Last game up on the docket, Jeff, Rams-Titans. Does anyone want to step in front of the Rams at this point, Jeff? It's like they've won 15 games in a row and nobody can stop them. 2 weeks ago, somebody stopped them. But again, last week, they're on center stage. They pounded the Seattle Seahawks on center stage. Now you're getting after the Tennessee Titans, Jeff, and you can't get a better. I'd like to talk, Jeff, buy low, sell high. The Tennessee Titans go on the road with everything to win. They can wrap up the division. They can, win out and have a great season and get into the playoffs. They go out, Jeff, and lose to 2 NFC West bottom dwellers in the Arizona Cardinals and the San Francisco 49ers, both looking terrible on offense in each one of those football games. Got it going a little bit against the 49ers in the second half. Now you're coming home against the Rams, and everybody's looking at that defense that they can't stop anybody for the Titans. They are going to get Morgan back as a pass rusher on the defensive line. But, Jeff, right now the Rams offense, even against the Eagles, they were able to do pretty much what they wanted. Against the Seattle Seahawks, whatever they wanted on short fields. But I think you're getting a little bit of a tax here, Jeff, on the Rams. If you can hang around and get that 7 points, might be worth a lean there on the Tennessee Titans at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I think, we talked at this on Wednesday, and do you want to back Mike Mularkey? Not really, but this is do or die time for the Titans. I mean, you can't really afford another loss in that AFC. And look, defensively, they played decent lately. I think offensively, they'll definitely stay in this game. It's not like the Rams or anything special on defense. 7 points is too much, especially at home. A solid 7, I'm taking the Titans here. I think they're a team that's really at this point pretty desperate. We're going to see how, whether they're a bunch of hacks or they really can go into the playoffs and maybe win a game. It's time to put up or shut up now for the Titans. And this is a big game. You need this one badly. I'd take the 7 points at home, surely.
Yeah, no, I think it is. They'll wrap up a little bit of NFL action. We'll have some fun over the weekend seeing how they lay out there, Jeff. Number 5, look, we like to give every once in a while, Jeff, a little bit of public service announcements. The big man on campus is going to take you through a little. And again, I'm not privy to this information, so I'm going to listen along as well. Big man, NBA public service announcement. Let's all listen in here.
Yeah, look, I mean, we can continue to try to think we can beat this system because we're great handicappers. At the end of the day, if you sit here every day and you actually get on the internet and you say, Oh, I'm gonna look at the NBA card here. Wow. I think the Rockets are definitely going to beat the Clippers tonight. I mean, they played really well. They're hitting a lot of shots. That's not the way to handicap the NBA. And if you're handicapping the NBA like that, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think you can win long term. I'm not telling you I have the key or potion to the NBA, but we have to start looking at these lines and really thinking to ourselves, are we really going against somebody's moves? I mean, you look at last night, a prime example. Why are people still betting the Cleveland Cavaliers not only as a favorite, but as a double-digit favorite, Donnie? They're 5-21 as a favorite this year against the spread. When are people going to wise up and stop betting these games? The writing has been on the wall, Donnie. 2 nights ago, the whole world's on the Cleveland Cavaliers against the Milwaukee Bucks. All I hear all day is Cavs, Cavs, Cavs. First of all, the number hasn't moved in the whole world is betting a Cavs team on the road at Milwaukee. What do you think happens? Milwaukee wins the game outright and covers. Last night, you're laying 10.5 with the Cavs. They haven't covered as a double-digit favorite all year, Donnie. We have to start wising up and looking at the moves. The NBA PSA is this. If you have a game and the whole world's on a side and the number doesn't move or goes down, the writing is on the wall. If you bet those games blindly, you will come out on top. There is no way to handicap the NBA as far as picking a game and saying, "Ooh, I like this," or "I like that." Teams in a back that doesn't matter. A lot of the time, you look at last night with the Philadelphia 76ers, they were the right side in that game, even with Joel Embiid out. They just blew the lead. That's what they do. But you could have made a real good case for the Philadelphia 76ers in that spot. When a big player goes out, I always look to back that team because generally the public overreacts. It's the NBA, guys. Most of the players are pretty damn good. Also, I heard a caller last night on WIP, Donnie, actually arguing that he thinks Michael Beasley is an NBA MVP candidate. There was actually a caller that called in and said that. He thinks Michael Beasley is the MVP candidate off of one big time game. I mean, are these people in New York, are they on some kind of drug? And Michael Beasley, he's a fucking NBA journeyman. What the hell are you talking about? What a mess. This NBA, I mean, listen, like I've said, I don't have a golden key to the NBA. I don't claim to either, but I'm just trying to help people out here. The way to bet the NBA is not just picking out of a hat and trying to find teams. You're betting dogs. Tonight you're gonna have to lay down with the Lakers or stuff like that. Look at line moves, Donnie. It's a lot like baseball. When it looks
Mhm.
too good to be true,
Yeah.
it usually is. Before we go, Donnie, want to thank some people here. It is our last show before the holiday. And I first want to thank all the listeners. We wouldn't be here without any of the listeners. And I know sometimes we go at it with a couple people, but I want to say 98% of these listeners are great people. I enjoy talking to them every day. I've made a lot of friends, a lot of relationships on here. We're in a cagey business here at times, but it's always nice every day waking up, coming on here, chatting with the people. I'm glad I've been able to help you. I hope I've taught you something, and a lot of you have taught me stuff as well. Also, want to thank the good people at SBR for giving me a platform to do this. I know I can be abrasive at times. I know I can be, a little bit to handle, but they've given me a platform for many years, and I thank Zach and Ariana and Deb, Cynthia. I know, whether she's listening or not, I appreciate her. All the producers, Juanma, Ariel, Larry Hoover, Matt Tesaro, Justin, all the people down at SBR that have been critical in helping us grow the shows. Donnie, I remember we first started this show. I remember I watched a video the other day with you where it was your first show. It was the roundtable, and it was interesting how different you were there than you are now. You've been able to grow yourself, and I thank you, man. You're probably one of the only people I respect in this business. This business is a shit show, but I thank you for being a normal person that understands it. You don't try too hard to be someone you're not. Also, Drew Martin, Ian Cameron, all the people at SBR that I respect a ton. Peter Loshak, everybody out there, great people. And I'm happy to share the stage with you guys. Donnie, to you, Merry Christmas. To your family, Merry Christmas. And to all the listeners, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, no, you said it all there. I mean, you hit it right down the list perfectly. Everybody's welcomed us in, both me and you here at Sportsbook Review. And I know you put in a good word way back in the day for me, and all of a sudden I started appearing on the channels, and we made it work, and we made it work each and every day. The whole point of a lot of these shows early on, especially with the late night on campus, was just a reason to reach out and let you guys know, the listeners, about who we are, let you into our lives. We're everyday people, even meeting everybody at the IFBC. We're real people day to day on the grind out here. Me and Jeff, we don't sit in Las Vegas. We don't hide behind, betting tickets or, doing this or making something out. And we're real people on the street, on the grind. We like to go to games just like everybody else. We hang out. We do a lot of fun stuff. We yell at each other behind the scenes. We yell at each other on the air. But everybody in that Sportsbook Review family down there has been really, really appreciative of everything me and the big man do. And it's vice versa. We can't do these shows without everybody down there. And a PSA for everybody out there: if you like the shows we do, you guys don't pay anything out for us there, and we don't mind that at all. But if you want to support the cause, go to sportsbookreview.com. If you want to get down on some of this money out here, there's a lot of sports books out there that are rated. That's how we keep the lights on in Costa Rica. We're able to do these shows and keep all the content here free at sportsbookreview.com. Support everybody behind the scenes. Go to sportsbookreview.com. If you haven't done so yet, use one of those codes down there, get your bonuses, but go right and do it through the site. That's the best way to show your appreciation out there if you like what we do, fellas. And yes, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody out there.
Yeah, amen to that. Like I said, today, Donnie and I both like UAB. I think we both like Central Michigan as well. Also, Donnie, doing a shout out, Free Meek Mill. Don't forget the people that are locked down right now. Christmas is a tough time for a lot of people, definitely for them as well. I know we made jokes about people in prison and, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, but Donnie, I got a lot of friends locked up. I shout them out. I know they're not listening, but I hope they all come home soon, and I look forward to seeing them. Also, to everyone that can't enjoy the holiday like we can, military people, people in the hospital. You think about those people. I know we all open those gifts and we love being around the family or going to games, but there's a lot of people that can't enjoy the same things we do. Go out and be helpful to those people, and just remember, sports betting is a hobby. Some of us, it's a profession. Just remember that don't be the guy at the Christmas table that's pissed off because he lost his Idaho State bet basketball. Don't be that guy. Also, Liverpool tonight. Give me them plus 187 against Arsenal. A big time game in London tonight. Looking forward to that one. A huge game in the Premier League. I'm on Liverpool plus 187. Other than that, we got to go. Thanks to everyone for listening. We'll be back Tuesday, guys. Tuesday, the show is back. Obviously, we're all for the Christmas holiday. But I'll be on the air. I got shows today. I got the closing line with Ian Cameron tomorrow. Lot to do here still at the channels. We got bowl stuff coming up at noon. Make sure you join us for that. Donnie, Merry Christmas, and then everyone, Happy Holidays. Have a good day. See you Tuesday here on the right side of campus. Bye-bye.